there's always the dimension of mortality in his songs. You got an album called Murder Ballads, for God's sake. But this is from a very different viewpoint. This is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
effects of that mortality on the people around and the ones left behind afterwards.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy and John, and we are here to listen to the song on the title of this video that you clicked on that I'm still oblivious to at this point. So, John, can you catch me up to speed with all the viewers and listeners out there? What are we listening to today?
So we're going back to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Oh, terrific. I always enjoy listening to Nick Cave and the Bad Seed. So, what's on offer?
So this time a song called I Need You.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Now,
Well,
I will
please.
also apologize. The only version I could get that wouldn't be blocked has Spanish lyrics
Oh, great. Well, I get
populating the screen.
to work on
So
boning
you
up
can
on my
practice
Spanish
that.
language. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know bits and pieces, but it's always good to fill in the gaps. I haven't found myself in a situation where I've needed to translate a lot of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds lyrics into Spanish for my in-laws. So maybe I'll be prepared now. This
Yeah,
is
well, I think your homework should be for the next episode that you translate the Ballad of Robert Moore and Betty Coltrane into Spanish.
excellent, great. Something else to look forward to. Let
But
me
you got in the meantime, you go off and listen to this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. One step at a time, my friend. Let me go check out I Need You by Nick Cave and the fellas, and I'll come back and let you know my thoughts. It's interesting. This is starting in a kind of a similar way that the slow dive song, Slow Mo, kicked off. Just ethereal, emerging, resonant sound with a bit of shimmer to it. But then it also sounds like almost these manufactured digital versions of like locusts or cicadas, like, chirping in the distance in some high grasses on an open plain or something. That's what comes to mind. But it sounds really beautiful thus far. Obviously, it's early days, so I'll be interested to see where Mr. Cave takes it from here. Slow, synthy sounds.
When you're feeling like a lover, nothing really matters anymore. I saw you standing there in the supermarket with your red dress falling, your eyes are to the ground. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters when the one you love is gone. Stealing me, baby, I need you.
What a beautiful line of harmonies that lift and then brings you gently back down to earth. It's like a feather floating and then settling back down gently. And what a somber picture that he is painting here. Running, it sounds like he's encountering someone in a supermarket, this person in a red dress, and he sounds like he's bad off from like an emotional standpoint, and he's encountered this individual. Now, I don't know if they are directly related to the sorrow that he's feeling, or if it's just a familiar face who's appeared perhaps when he needs it most. Sure, we'll get to that. But yeah, this is definitely a shift from that more lascivious, dark novella stuff that he offers in a lot of the songs we've listened to previously, and this sounds much more somber and personal.
In my heart, I need you. 'Cause nothing really matters. I'm standing in the doorway. You're walking round to my place in your red dress, hair hanging down. With your eyes on one, we love the ones we can. 'Cause nothing really matters when you're standing.
His voice has this like wavering quality to it that only leans into the emotional fragility that he's experiencing, and that resonates with me. It as the sort of resident sap on the channel, who is very drawn to the emotions that are at the core of each song. I appreciate that he is, instead of being this cold, calculated narrator that he often is in other tracks, there is this I think is the word that I've used before, but there is this human fragility that is on display that, for me, I haven't experienced a lot with Cave. I love what he does convey. I like the cold, calculated, kind of detached, menacing sound that his other stories, exhibit. I say stories and not songs because he's just as much a storyteller as he is a songwriter. This is different. This is a whole different beast, though, at least it sounds like. And I think John had alluded in the past that we were going to be wading into some different waters with him. And I think now I'm knee-deep in those waters.
I need you. Nothing really matters. We follow the line, the palms of our hands. You're standing in the supermarket, nothing holding hands. In your red dress, falling in a long black cars waiting around. I will miss you when you're gone. I'll miss you when you're gone away forever. 'Cause nothing really matters never again, 'cause nothing really matters. Nothing really matters anymore, not even today, no matter how hard I try. When you're standing in the air, and baby, nothing, nothing, nothing. I need, I need, I need you. I need just breathe, I need you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, less is more from a musical standpoint is what comes to mind when I hear this. The sparseness of it all allows for the gravity of the subject matter to really land and be clearly conveyed. And that's what happened here. I mean, this sort of resonant through line of the synth notes and the shuffling beat of the drums kind of allows for the emotions to breathe through this lyrical content that Cave's offering up. And good lord, I don't know if I've heard him sound as vulnerable on any track as this one. I have no idea what happened to him, but something. I don't know if it involves this woman in the red dress, or she is the figure that provides him the solace that he needs as he mourns something or someone. But that's definitely the vibe that you get here. I really enjoyed this track, but I can confidently say that this isn't one that I'm going to reach for often, and that is I say that with like fingers crossed, like I hope I don't need to, because this song has like this, this idea of it being like a weighted blanket behind a double pane glass that says, only break in case of like emergency or severe tragic loss. This is a lot to take in and feel, and I feel like I don't ever want to be in this position, but I feel like if I'm ever in a similar place that Cave was when he wrote this, it would be the hug. It would be the woman in the red dress for me. It would kind of be this thing that I could find, peace through shared pain. And that's something I don't want to deal with. But if I have to, I know where I'm going to go. I know the glass that I'm breaking, and what lies behind it, and that is this song and songs like it. This is really sad, and yet there is comfort to be found in it, to know that you're not alone. I think the song would offer that most certainly. Yeah, this is like I mentioned, a real change of pace for this musician who often takes me to places I don't want to go because they're seedy in nature. This took me to a place I didn't want to go because it's fucking real and unavoidable. I think anybody that that lives a life has experienced loss, sometimes loss so tragic it can leave you in a state similar to what it sounded like Cave was in this song. Yeah, this is really interesting stuff. I'd love to learn more about this, what inspired it. I'm sure it's not going to be something fun, um, but it will be, I think, something interesting as it peels away another layer of this very interesting songwriter, um, whom we've covered plenty of times on this channel, and I look forward to hearing more. But first and foremost, I look forward to hearing more about this track. So, in order to do that, let's get back to John.
Cecil Parkinson, he's back. So you've had to listen to I Need You by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Tell me your thoughts.
Ah, I've got a lot of them. It's an interesting little fork in the Nick Cave road that we've now taken here. So, not really too dissimilar from the way Slow Mo by Slowdive opened that we just discussed recently. We get this ethereal emergence of resonant, shimmering sounds, keynotes washing upon the shores of our ears. And along with it, we get the arrival of these interesting digital sounds that, to my ears, sound like the manufactured sounds of locusts or cicadas stirring in the distance, which instantly whisks me away to the high grasses of the open plains at sunset. Um, the sparse beat drops as lower synth sounds gently but earnestly penetrate the soundscape, ushering in the sound of Cave's semi-shaky and ultimately woeful sounding delivery. He opens with, "When you're feeling like a lover, nothing really matters anymore." He goes on to paint this picture of seeing someone in a supermarket adorned in a red falling dress with their eyes fixed to the ground. And he then sings, "Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters when the one you love is gone." So we get confirmation that loss is at the root of this track, and it is comes in the way of this singer's somber tone. This is fortified by the next stanza where Cave offers up, still in me, baby, I need you. In my heart, I need you. In my heart." And there is some beautifully haunting lift, and then dissension in the vocal delivery of this portion, bolstered by the addition of these others, like lending their voices to this motif, which enhances the track's emotional gravity. And he reiterates that nothing really matters and continues to describe this visage of someone standing in a doorway, walking around in their red dress that hangs down. He then offers up an interesting observation, singing, "We love the ones we can," before he again mentions that nothing really matters anymore. And he conveys this feeling of pain and loss, and he himself sounds tucked somewhere between broken and disassociated. And the music enhances this by allowing his words to almost stand alone, as it takes a very minimalist approach that frames the narrative beautifully. There is the sparseness to the shuffling drums, and the synthesizer resonates with a lugubrious tone that underscore Cave's somber vocal delivery. He again reiterates that nothing really matters, as this appears to be a common through line for the beginning of each verse. And I catch him alluding to the following lines of the lines of our palms, as if our fate is etched upon our hands, and thus irreversible, as if they might as well be etched in stone. And I found that line really resonated with me for whatever reason. And he mentions holding hands with this woman, the one clad in a red dress, as we get confirmation that we are still in the supermarket at this point, that all of this is seemingly transpiring in real time, in this one scene. And Cave professes that he will miss this person when they are gone away forever, because nothing really matters, before he admits he thought he knew better, so much better. And as he continues, he sounds more and more like he is singing through stifled tears, which culminates in him repeating. There's this wavering to his voice that sounds like it's on the verge of breaking. And it culminates in him repeating the titular line a few times. And again, this is bolstered by the addition of those other voices lifting and lowering the vocal line. And as if coaching or reminding himself, he sings just breathe before one last I need you as the song comes to a close. So yeah, this is a very moving piece of music, though admittedly it didn't have a lot going on from a structural or, composition standpoint. This was simple but wildly effective in conveying the hurt in Cave's heart and the heft of the emotional baggage that anchored him to the reality of whatever transpired that, left him so devastated. I wouldn't have I wouldn't reach for this song, or at least I hope I won't have to, because it seems like the musical equivalent of a weighted blanket behind a double pane glass that reads only break in the event of tragic loss. And that's something I wouldn't wish on anyone. But if I was unfortunate enough to experience anything close to what inspired this song, it's good to know that it exists. So, tell me a bit more about this one, John.
Thanks, Andy. I kind of alluded that there's a sort of a bit of an elephant in the room in terms of Nick Cave's story, and we had to address it at some point. So this is the point, and it is a pivotal moment in his career. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, we've covered plenty of Nick Cave and the Bad Seed songs. Deanna, Jubilee Street, there she goes, My Beautiful World, Dig, Lazarus, Dig, The Ballad of Robert Moore and Betty Coltrane, Papa Won't Leave You, Henry, 15 Feet of Pure White Snow, and She Fell Away. This will be added to the list, link below. Lots of stuff about the band. I will concentrate just on this episode. So this track is from 2016's album Skeleton Tree, which is described as avant-garde ambient electronica. Not necessarily the sort of genres that you'd associate with Nick Cave up to this point in his career. Skeleton Tree was recorded over several sessions from late 2014 to early 2016. With Nick Cave and Warren Ellis producing the album, Cave actually financed the recording sessions himself, so he wasn't beholden to any label at the time. Personnel: Nick Cave, vocals, piano, Wurlitzer, synthesizer, vibraphone, and backing vocals. Warren Ellis, synthesizer, loops, Wurlitzer, piano, baritone, tenor, guitar, violin, viola, drum treatments, drum loops, and backing vocals. Martin Casey, bass. Thomas Wilder, drums. Jim Sclavinus, percussion, vibraphone, tubular bells, Wurlitzer, backing vocals. George Vigestica, acoustic guitar, backing vocals. And there were additional musicians of Els Torp, who did additional vocals on track 7, Distant Sky. Ellie Wyatt, violin. Charlotte Glayson, viola. And Joe Giddy, cello.
It's interesting you mentioned some of those instruments, because towards the end I felt like I was picking up the shadows of plonking sounds in there. So maybe that is chalked up to some of that you were just discussing.
Some quite, on the face of it, so a lot of the songs are quite simple in their soundscape, but then you get the ambience coming in, and there's droning and other stuff, and it can be all sorts of different sources, and that creates quite a thick but interesting texture that at first glance is, and then when you get into it, there's more there. But yeah. So in July 15th, 2017, near the end of the sessions, Cave's 15-year-old son, Arthur, died after falling from nearby Ovington Dean Gap, the chalk cliffs at Brighton, where they were living.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur Cave, 15, was airlifted to hospital after walkers found him on the coastal path at the foot of the cliffs, 60 feet foot drop. He wasn't wearing any shoes or socks. Members of the public tried to give him first aid. As I say, he was airlifted and he died from his injuries at hospital. At the inquest, it was stated that Arthur had taken LSD with a friend, and he was seen staggering around on his own before he fell off the cliff. Arthur was survived by his twin brother, Earl. So Cave and Ellis returned to the studio 2 weeks later to review the material recorded for Skeleton Tree. Most of the basic tracks for each song and the majority of Cave's vocals were already completed by this time. Several performances from the final recording sessions were shot for the album's accompanying documentary film, One More Time with Feeling. Cave commissioned this documentary in which he discusses the album's writing and recording process after Arthur's death so that he could address the album's context without having to conduct interviews with the media.
Yeah.
Regarding Cave's decision to return to the studio following Arthur's death, Warren Ellis said, Nick was adamant that we went in there. He said, I don't know how to navigate this, but I know work is the only thing in the past that's got me through things. But nobody knew what that meant. It was still very fresh and raw. Percussionist Jim Sclavunos elaborated. Being so soon after the tragic circumstances, it felt right to preserve this uneasy, ineffable quality. So, as I said, the majority of the songs on the album were written prior to Arthur's death. However, some lyrics, such as the opening lines to the first track, Jesus Alone, have been regarded as prophetic in the wake of his death. And it opens with the lines, You fell from the sky, crash landed in a field near the River Ardeur. To think that his son died from falling a few, weeks or months later after writing that. Several lyrics were semi-improvised in subsequent recording sessions as Cave had experienced a desire to move from narrative-based songs, claiming that he had lost faith in them. Several publications have unsurprisingly noted Skeleton Tree's lyrical themes of loss and death, particularly in relation to the death of Arthur. Skeleton Tree's lyrics are noted for often being allegorical and never directly address the event of Arthur's death. Esquire observed how the album's lyrics are less explicitly about Arthur's death and more about the ripple effects of that sort of catastrophe on Cave and his family and the way everyone else finds their way back. Consequence of Sounds detailed the radical shift in Cave's lyrics on Skeleton Tree, noting that they are no longer telling elaborate stories full of intricately felt characters like the Bad Seeds' previous material and how we've expanded on so many times, and that Cave has unlocked a more primal type of storytelling, something even more raw, deep and dark. The album features components of multiple genres and has been described generally as avant-garde. Several songs contain dissonant musical elements, including those of unresolved chords, drones, atonality, noise, and vocal melodies which do not conform to the song's time signatures. Additionally, a lot of the song's structures do not follow the standard verse, chorus, verse form, obviously. Skeleton Tree has also been described as featuring elements of electronica, use of synthesizers, drum machines, and shuffle beats. The album's sparse and restrained arrangements, as well as its use of loops and down-tempo rhythms, has been cited by several critics as being reminiscent of ambient music. On release, the album went straight into number 2 in the UK charts. It hit the number 1 spot in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Portugal. And in the US, it got to number 27 in the Billboard 200, the band's highest position. Critical response was truly universal acclaim. Metacritic scored it 95 out of 100. Wow. London Evening Standard gave it 5 stars, saying Skeleton Tree was a breathtakingly beautiful, grief-strewn record, sometimes direct, sometimes allegorical, and praised both the album's tender and restrained music and Cave's more broken and more uncertain vocals. Skeleton Tree is a staggering achievement, the one for which Nick Cave will always be remembered. The Guardian referred to the album as unsurprisingly a very dark record, but there is also beauty, empathy, and love as it veers between bewildered numbness and heartbreaking profundity. And liking Cave's instinctive howl from the heart and gut to Johnny Cash's cover of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt, saying the frailties, wounds, and vulnerabilities in his voice give the record its strength and its humanity, and summarizing it as a masterpiece of love and devastation. I think that's a good point, actually. It's in the way his voice, they both have him and Cash both have that very strong sort of voice that's quite direct. And yet, in both instances, there's that breaking, isn't there? And you can feel the hurt,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
within there.
There is this. They both have this like masculine quality to their voice. But you're right. And despite that, you still can sense the fragility in it, which is an
Yeah.
interesting line to toe between sounding something, so masculine and sounding something so vulnerable, and yet they convey it perfectly.
Rolling Stone referred to Cave as the dean of literary goth songcraft, a master of wordplay, symbolism, and irony, and described how on Skeleton Tree, Cave was bearing his soul like never before, adding the album resonates with raw emotional intensity in a stunning way. Enemy called it a masterpiece and both beautiful and harrowing, hard to listen to, but even harder to look away from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pitchfork selected it as the week's best new music. I Need You was also selected as the week's best new track. It was described as the stirring core of the Bad Seeds' devastating new album. I will say this, it's an amazing album. It starts off with this Jesus Alone song, which is something else, and then goes into Rings of Saturn. And then it just heaps it on. Girling Amber is heartbreaking. Magneto, Anthracene as well, and then I Need You, and then Distant Sky and Skeleton Tree. But it's that core four songs in the middle is just, yeah. Some people sort of blithely say, oh, "I can't listen to the Smiths because it's so depressing." You got no idea. So you listen to somewhere there's proper, real emotions involved. Anyway, lyrics. When you're feeling like a lover, nothing really matters anymore. I saw you standing there in the supermarket with your red dress falling and your eyes are to the ground. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters when the one you love is gone. It's still in me, baby. I need you. In my heart, I need you. Um, just a couple of notes. Not many in this one. In that documentary you spoke about, and I've seen it. It's hard to watch as well at times. To be honest with you, Cave expresses his frustration with his friends' platitudes. They would say things like, he, as an Arthur, still lives in your heart. And Cave responds, he's in my heart, but he doesn't live. No amount of kind words or good intentions can bring back a loved one from the dead. So yeah, saying it's still in me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because nothing really matters. I'm standing in the doorway. You're walking round to my place in your red dress, hair hanging down, with your eyes on one. We love the ones we can, because nothing really matters when you're standing. Standing, I need you, because nothing really matters. We follow the lines in the palms of our hands. You're standing in the supermarket, nothing, holding hands, in your red dress, falling in. The long black cars waiting round. I will miss you when you're gone. I will miss you when you've gone away forever, because nothing really matters. I thought I knew better, so much better. And I need you, because nothing really matters. On the night we wrecked like a train, purring cars in the pouring rain. Never felt right about it, never again, because nothing really matters. That bit there, Cave and his twin sons were actually involved in a car accident in December 2010. He drove the vehicle into a speed camera, of all things. The one thing to hit is a speed camera. I mean, come on. The pictures, the photos are quite something.
So
No, no one was.
next to hitting a parked police car, that's probably the
Yeah,
dumbest thing to run into.
no one was hurt seriously, but he has alluded to the driver alertness courts that he was forced to go on afterwards in the song Mermaids from the previous album Push the Sky Away. Here, however, is the first song in which we hear him expressing some guilt springing from the incident. In the documentary One More Time of Feeling, he talks for some time about different kinds of accidents, and his pain here isn't about smashing up a car, but the um, inability of a loving parent to keep his child from harm. Um, so yeah, nothing really matters. Nothing really matters anymore. Not even today, no matter how hard I try. When you're standing in the aisle, and baby, nothing, nothing, nothing. I need you. I need you. I need you. I need you. Just breathe. Just breathe. I need you. Earlier in the album, there's a song I said called Girl and Amber. And on those lyrics, if you want to leave, don't breathe. If you want to leave, don't breathe. If you want to leave, don't breathe a word and let the world turn. So that sort of just is another sort of brother-sister relationship, those lyrics there. So yeah, it really is a stunning album. I guess you can say it's hard to listen to at times, but it's a really important album as well. And obviously, this is a real event in his life which changed his view of things and
Mm-hmm.
had an influence on his work. Of course, it will do. Just to lighten the tone, not just to let you know, Nick Cave actually had four sons from the twins, Arthur and Earl, but also a couple others from different relationships. The oldest being a guy called Jethro Lazenby, who only found out that Cave was his father when he was aged 8.
Oh wow.
Jethro worked as a model, an actor, and a photographer. However, in May 2022, so this is 7 years after Arthur's death, um, just 2 days after Jethro had been released on bail from prison for assaulting his mother, he was found dead in the Coburg Motor Inn in Melbourne. I think he was about 31 years old. He'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia and he had a history of substance abuse. No official cause of death has been confirmed, and I couldn't find any on the internet. This is 4 years later.
Yeah.
No, but suicide wasn't confirmed or denied either. So yeah, he's been a tragedy in his family there. That's
Yeah. Good God.
And musically to round things up. So there's a very loose trilogy in albums. It starts with Push the Sky Away. We have this song, Skeleton Tree, and then the next album, Ghost Dean, includes this loose trilogy of similar themes. Spoiler alert, it got better reviews, better scores.
Oh wow. Jesus. It's not
He
much
did turn
room
a
for
corner,
improvement there.
and the last album, is a different comes from a different viewpoint. So yeah, but stunning albums.
Yeah.
So yeah, not the easiest of listens, but I thought it was really worth listening to, and you getting a full picture.
To be fair, if there's one common through line between the stuff that preceded this tragedy and the stuff that came in the wake of it, it is this uncomfortable feeling when you're listening to his music. It's a different kind of uncomfortable, but it is still there. The first is this itchy, gross, kind of dirty feeling. This is like it's so heartbreaking. You feel like you need to come up for air, probably, I would imagine, between tracks on this album and perhaps the one you've alluded to that follows it. So he's got that going for him. He knows how to make the listener feel away, and this discomfort. So
Yeah. There's always the dimension of mortality in his songs. You got an album called Murder Ballads, for God's sake, but this is from a very different viewpoint. This is the effects of that mortality on the people around and the ones left behind afterwards, which is again fascinating. And the musical change as well is something which is quite different and unexpected. But yeah, so yeah, I thought this would be a really interesting listen. I wouldn't a million years think, oh, this is, and he's found his new favorite Bad Seed song. No, but it's worth listening to, definitely.
Absolutely, without question. Yeah, and all the stuff about not wanting to reach for it isn't because I don't think it's good. It's just because it's fucking heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, I should wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you do appreciate, like's probably a strong word, appreciate this song, then please do hit the like button and drop some comments. Let us know what you think about this song, this album, the sort of change in direction with the Bad Seeds and Nick Cave and the events that beset him. Yeah, we'd love to be really interested to hear what you think about it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. All this and more besides could be yours 5 days a week. Well, actually, you can access it whenever you like. So if you 8 days a week, according to Lennon McCartney, if you really want. But yeah, hop on board. We'd love to have you join the groovy gang. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you in the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.